Tyler Warren has a better chance to play much more like Rob Gronkowski. Colston Loveland has a better chance to play a lot more like Travis Kelce. Did I say? Yeah, Travis Kelce. Yeah. So if you're looking for the middle of the field movement guy who you have a safety or a linebacker paired up against him, and next thing you know, he's 5 yards past that guy and running wide open down the seam, it's Colston Loveland.
What'd you make of Loveland at 10? Did you I know you've been talking to us about tight end for a while.
Yeah.
I know you had mocked a couple of times Ty Warren.
Yeah.
So what did you think ultimately of Loveland going there?
A little bit of a blind spot by me in thinking about just during the process, like a tight end at 10 made a lot of sense to me. And I had Tyler Warren there. And yet, if you look at my final rankings, it was Tyler Warren 8th overall and Colston Loveland 11th overall. Right? So, we're talking about when you're describing the 8th and 11th overall players on your board, you're sort of categorizing them as if we're going to use this arbitrary A through F grade, like both, let's call it A- prospects, right? So not a huge surprise to me that Colston Loveland went ahead of Tyler Warren. It was definitely a debate throughout the NFL during the past 7 months through the season. The archetype is a little bit different, right? Like I've used this, and I know that people think it's ridiculous when you make comparisons to elite players for these college prospects. I do it only because I think they're better known names and more relatable. You can process what it means.
Right.
Tyler Warren has a better chance to play much more like Rob Gronkowski. Colston Loveland has a better chance to play a lot more like Travis Kelce. Did I say? Yeah, Travis Kelce. Yeah. So if you're looking for the middle of the field movement guy who you have a safety or a linebacker paired up against him, and next thing you know, he's 5 yards past that guy and running wide open down the seam, it's Colston Loveland. If you're looking for the guy where you might throw the ball to him in traffic and he carries 3 defensive players 6 yards for a first down, it's Tyler Warren. But Loveland, a really good player, and we were talking about this before we got on. He was crestfallen by the worst quarterback play you could imagine at Michigan last year. I mean, it was just a complete carousel of quarterbacks, and none of them were any better than the prior one. So Loveland had, actually, I thought an impressive season with 52 catches last year, given the context of the quarterback.
He was
play.
basically the passing offense.
He was the only threat in the passing offense.
So it is kind of amazing. Do you think when Banks went off the board the pick before, that really led them to tight end, and would they have picked Banks in your estimation if he would have been there?
He was on the consideration list for me at number 10 if he got there, Kelvin Banks. I just think that I think it's fair to surmise that the 3 options that were most likely for the Bears at pick 10 were left tackle, Ashton Jeanty, or tight end. Just based off of the value of those players at the tight end spot in Ashton Jeanty, and then left tackle being a need that even if it's not for tomorrow, because if Braxton Jones gets back healthy and plays more like he did a little bit earlier on in his career, then they probably feel like, hey, their starting 5 is probably close to in Sharpie now. So I think if Kelvin Banks had lasted one more pick, then it would have been at least a conversation.
What direction do the Bears go now?
I think tonight they have 2 picks in the first,
39 and 41.
Right. So
7 and 9 tonight.
Yep. So places that I would not be surprised by include offensive tackle still, Ariante Ursary from Minnesota, named to consider at the top of the board tonight. But also a little bit further down, there are some options too. Anthony Belton from NC State, Charles Grant from William & Mary, some of the names that come to mind there. Running back wouldn't be a surprise as well. You need at least one more probably. The 2 Ohio State kids, Quinshon Judkins and also Travion Henderson, will hear their name called early.
I love Henderson. I love Henderson. Can you do that now after you took a tight end at 10?
I think you probably lean, if you're taking one of those 2 Ohio State backs, I lean toward Quinshon Judkins.
You do? Okay.
I think Henderson's a superior player overall, but so much of the draft is also what does your team need. The Bears need more thunder than lightning, right? And then pass rusher. Tonight, I think if Nick Skorton from Texas A&M makes it there, it'd be interesting. Dennis Allen, as we know, has loved these big, hulking defensive ends. Skorton's not this massive guy, but he's powerful as crap. Maybe some people who follow the Big Ten closely remember him during his time at Purdue. 2 years ago, he led the Big Ten in sacks. And this guy was a wrecking ball. Purdue, not exactly, a top-tier Big Ten program, and nobody had an answer for him. So he's a guy that's intrigued me throughout the process, but there's some other good rushers that will be available as well.
Skorton was a TFL machine these last 2 years at A&M and at Purdue. Field Yates is our guest. We're live here at the draft. It's Carmen and York on ESPN Chicago and the ESPN Chicago app. There was all of a sudden a couple hours before the draft last night, these rumors and all this steam on the Bears are going up to 5 to get Ashton Jeanty. He became the betting favorite at one, minus $1.90. The Bears were the betting favorite to land him. Did you ever get a sense that any of that was real at all? It obviously never materialized, but was that all just typical, few hours beforehand and just rumor mills running wild?
Yeah, I think that our guy Shefty, I take to the bank. Like, when he speaks, I listen on the pre-draft stuff. I do think a lot of it could become a bit of a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I'm just making this up here because we have the screen open and we're looking at the pick tracker. The Chargers are here, that the Seahawks might move up, and that the Bengals also might be looking to move down. And it's like, well, how'd you hear it? It's like, oh, well, the Rams at 26 said that to us. And it's like, well, what do the Rams know? The Seahawks? And it's like it can become a little bit of everybody has their own thoughts as to what is going to take place. I mean, I can't say that I was like trying last night to figure out if the Bears were or were not moving up. I was trying to focus in on the picks and analyzing the picks at hand. I'll say this. I think Ashton Genty is awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's a terrific player who's going to be great, and I would have loved him for the Bears. I would have felt less strongly about it if they moved up to get him.
I heard you say it to Waddle and Sylvie, too. You said, listen, I'd resist any of those temptations, as good as he might be.
Because we saw the price to go from 5 to 2. It would not have been that prohibitive. But if all of a sudden you go from picks 10, 39, and 41 to just 5, and I don't know if that's too much, too little. I don't know what the negotiations would have been. I would have felt different.
Did Jacksonville go crazy?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I love the player. I would say because this is going to come up. I'm heading over to NFL Live after this, and we're going to have that conversation. I would say like A- would be the grade I give Cleveland. Can't give him an A because Travis Hunter is unbelievable.
Right.
B would be the grade that I give Jacksonville. You have to give him a strong grade because Travis Hunter was the best player in the draft, in my opinion, and becomes an identifiable force for a team and a fan base and a city that's desperate for it. But guys, I mean, this is the Bears know this. Betting on the downside of a team that's not great.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love those moves. Right. So I'm not. I truly haven't stacked my 1 through 32 power rankings for next year. But if you tell me that the Browns have 2 top 10 picks next year, their own, and the Jaguars, wouldn't surprise me a bit.
And now you've got Mason Graham and Myles Garrett, right?
Mason Graham, Myles Garrett, picks 32, 33, 36
Wow.
tonight.
Yeah.
So the Browns are well positioned to be active. So.
What do you think is going to happen? A couple more minutes with Phil Yates. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen early here tonight? Shador slides, right? Is Shuck going to go? Is Milroe going to go early? And which all could be good for the Bears because it just gives you a bigger pool. It gives Ryan Poles a bigger pool of what he's really trying to sift through with 39 and 41. What do you think happens?
The quarterbacks go early.
You're not? Okay.
Our guy Evan Kaplan, who does a great job on the research front on ESPN, noted that we've had 1 second-round quarterback in the last 3 years.
Wow, is that right?
That's right.
Why didn't you? That's like a stat. You think I'd know everything about the draft, all the prep work? I didn't even realize that.
But 6 went in the first round last year.
Well, that's true.
So I think running backs, wide receivers, edge rushers early tonight wouldn't surprise me. So they're still going to be good players for the Bears. I mean, the depth of this class is just really, really strong. If we had more time, I could go through sort of with a finer tooth comb the guys that I think would make a lot of sense for Chicago at 39 and 41, other than the names that we have already thrown out. But the Bears have plenty of optionality if they want to package those to move up, but I think the much more likely case is you sit tight and you add, I think, 2 more starters tonight.
Good call. All right, last thing. Who did well last night in round 1? Who do you really – big picture, you step back, you go, hey, that was good.
Yeah. I mean, because of the chalkiness of last night's draft, there weren't too many teams. I mean, the confusing team was Atlanta. That was the one that surprised me probably the most. Felt good. I'm trying to think of some teams that I liked in particular. Philadelphia getting Jahad Campbell is a good pick at 31. If he can hold up physically, that's a good one there. Philly doing what they do. Baltimore doing what they do is always noteworthy to me.
The Ravens got a good deal with Starks going down.
Going Starks. I liked. In the top 10, there were no total curveballs for me. So I thought that the Saints did the logical thing last night at 9. And I'm not.
Yes.
If it's not that I like Colston Leveland at 10 too, right? But the Saints have so many needs. But damn it, they need to get some offensive linemen. So resisting the temptation to go quarterback or potentially defense to me was a reasonable way to go.
I wasn't sure they were going to do it, and I think you're right. I think that's a good way to sum it up. They did it. I'm like, they're not going to take Banks, but they need help there. They didn't pick up the option on Penning, and they've swung and missed it on a few guys there.
Way too many.
And so I think it was probably the smart thing for them to do. Even though I didn't think they were going to do it, I was hoping it was going to fall to the Bears.
Yep.
You're the man. Seriously, thanks for joining. We know you're busy. What time's NFL Live?
27 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Now.
All right, top of the hour. That's what I thought. Field, thanks, buddy. Seriously.
All right,
good seeing you, my man. There's Field Yates. It's Carmen in New York.